Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Happy Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas Eve. I'm actually filming this on the 23rd to post on Christmas Eve. But I wanted to make a video over here today. I know that a lot of people are busy on Christmas Eve with family and things like that, but I wanted to post something over here, and it's kind of late on Thursday evening, so I thought I'll just wait until tomorrow to post this, and then whenever you guys get a chance to watch it, you watch it, you know? I had seen this meme on Instagram. Are you one of those people that like roll through and read people's memes and stuff like that? I have this guy that I follow on Instagram, and literally his entire Instagram stories, of which there are probably 30 a day, are just like meme after meme after meme after meme after meme, and I love it. And some of them are hilarious, and some of them are really thought-provoking, and I love all those memes. I rarely, like, reshare them unless they really have some meaning to me. And I shared this one on my Instagram story because I read it, and it was funny because if you look, when I screenshot it, well, you can't see, but because of the glare of the camera and the phone, or the glare of the phone on the camera. But, my book club partner, Mel, she, like, responded to it with, like, applause, and I had already been thinking about it most of the day, because I, like, read these things, and I was like, wow, these are, like, powerful, like, this is true. And then when she responded to me, I was like, okay, so like-minded people, because Mel and I are like-minded people, I was like, like-minded people agree on this. So I was like, you know, this is something that I want to talk about in a video, and I was actually going to do it on my Peterisms channel, but I thought, you know, this really encompasses a lot of things I've worked on in the last year, and so I wanted to share it with you guys to see if maybe some of you guys out there relate to this. So it was this little meme, and the meme said, I knew I was healing when, and then there are 5 things that are indicative of when they were healing, right? And so the first one was, I started responding rather than reacting, and I think this is such an important one, and this is something that I talked about on my Peterisms channel. So my Peterisms channel is where I read, like, daily meditations, and I talk about lessons and things I've learned in my life, mistakes I've made, how I've grown from that, on and on and on. And I've talked about the difference between reacting and responding forever ad nauseum on that channel. I mean, until people are probably tired of it. And I talked a lot at the beginning of the year about a pause button, and that one of the things that I had really learned was having this pause button in my life, right? And that when I was, like, in a situation where I was like, okay, I'm like, I want to say something, because reacting is like when somebody hits you, you, like, hit them back, right? Or if somebody says something to you, you say something really nasty right back. Responding is when somebody says something to you, you sit there and you go, wow, like, let me think about that for a second, and then you come back to them later, and maybe what you say is something like, you know what you said to me didn't sit well with me, or I didn't really like what I had to say, what you had to say, or it hurt my feelings, or I agree with you, or whatever. And typically in my life, I would say, 99.9% of the time, things fare better for me when I respond to something instead of react to something. And so I think this is such a valuable part of healing, because what it means is that I'm not engaging in the negativity anymore, you know? And I used to be somebody that was highly, highly reactive. I mean, even till just the last year, year and a half. And with it has come this kind of inner peace and serenity where I don't feel like I need to engage in that drama, negativity, chaos, and toxicity anymore. And if I do, then I realize that it's a choice that I'm doing today, right? Because if I'm waiting to pause and then respond, and I'm responding in a way by joining into that, then I'm joining the dance, right? Like, I'm joining the dance of negativity, and I don't have to do that today. And, you know, when you start healing internally from all of the trauma in your life, or all of the ways that people have hurt you, or the situations that you've been in that have hurt you, and things like that, once you start healing from all of that, the rewards are things like peace, serenity, calmness in your life. I mean, calmness in my life is like a huge thing today, that I don't have all of this craziness in my life that I used to have, you know? So I love that one, that it is, responding and not reacting, and try it. Like, you know, I mean, this is something that I really, really had to work on. You know, it's almost kind of like the rubber band on the wrist kind of thing, where you're in a situation, you have to snap it, to like snap yourself out of like, okay, I'm not going to say something, you know? And I still make the mistake today. I still do, you know? And it's something that I will continue to work on. I don't know that I'll ever be perfect at it. I hope, I wish, you know, I never will. I don't think we're ever perfect examples of, you know, anything, but that's why I believe that we're constantly growing and learning. But it is such a valuable tool that I've learned. When I talk about like having tools in my toolbox today, responding rather than reacting is definitely one of those tools. So the next one is, I enjoyed time alone. And this is something where, for a long time, I didn't really understand the difference between being alone and being lonely. And, you know, one of the things that is so true of my life is that I can feel lonelier in a room full of people than I can all by myself. And yes, it has something to do with my social anxiety and things like that. But I think that one of the things I've really learned over time is to really enjoy my time alone. And, you know, it's hard some days. I work from home by myself. I am just with my dogs all day long. You know, there are whole entire days that go by where I don't get a text from anybody. Nobody calls me. I don't call anybody else. And the being alone kind of feeds into the loneliness. And that's when I have to, like, yet again, dig into that toolbox and pick up the phone and call somebody, right? I can't rely on the fact that other people are going to pick up the phone first. And that's not their responsibility. I have to participate in my own life. And if I'm lonely, I have to ask people to go do things, or I have to say to people, like, hey, I'm kind of lonely, like I want to do something. But enjoying time alone by yourself is really important, you know? And one of the things I tell girlfriends of mine who are going through breakups, like you know, I had been somebody that like jumped right back into relationships so many times because I didn't really know who I was if I didn't have somebody to validate my existence. If I didn't have a man in my life to tell me that I was good enough, or if I didn't have a man by my side, even if he wasn't telling me that I was good enough, by my side making me feel like I was good enough, then I was like, well, who am I? And that is truly the signs of codependency. And so one of the things I had to learn was, who am I without a partner in my life, you know? And I remember, like, I had gone through a breakup and I was single for a while and I was having a conversation with my mom. It was funny. We were watching an episode of Jerry Springer, actually, right downstairs. And there were, like, these two men that were fighting over this woman. And I said, I don't understand how, like, she has two guys and I can't even get one. And my mom said, she said some funny things about the Jerry Springer show, but then she said, you know, nobody is promised a partner in life. And she said, if you're blessed enough to find one for your whole life or a period of your life, then you're more blessed than a lot of people. Then a lot of people don't ever find a partner in their life. And I thought, God, she's so right, you know? And at the time, my mom was probably 55, and, you know, she had been single since she was in her 30s, and that had been a long time, you know? And what I started learning was, because my mom really enjoyed a lot of her time alone, there were times that she felt lonely, and those are two completely different things. But she learned who she was, and she learned what her needs and her values were. And, like, you know, as my mom got older, I would say something to her. She'd say, I'd love to have a partner in my life to travel with and go to movies with and things like that. But she's like, you know, I also don't want somebody telling me, okay, it's 10 o'clock, we're going to bed. She was like, I've lived alone long enough that if I want to go to bed at 7 o'clock, I'm going to go to bed at 7 o'clock. And if I want to stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning. She's like, I don't want somebody telling me what to do as a grown adult anymore. And I do have friends of mine that are in those relationships, you know, and so I think, like, one of the things that I have really learned is to really enjoy being alone. And, you know, it's funny because often people on my videos will comment and they'll say, like, you and Alex never do anything together, when I think people only see, like, a brief period of, even though I'm filming on 6 channels, people only see a brief period of my life. And we do spend a lot of time apart. We really do. But that was something that came out of marriage counseling, you know, and when we first got together, we were literally inseparable. We were enmeshed. And, you know, like, we were a one-car family. I drove him to work. I picked him up from work. We went and worked out together. We went and ate dinner together. We came home. We watched a movie. We had spent private time together, all that kind of stuff. We went out together on the weekends. We had the same friends. We didn't ever do anything apart. And when we got into marriage counseling, the word smothering was not even appropriate. I mean, it was like, we were like this. us. Like, I don't even know where one of us ended and the other one began. And that's the kind of crap that movies feed to you that is healthy. Like, oh, the fairy tale, right? Like, you complete me, Jerry Maguire bullshit. BS, sorry. But it's not healthy to be that enmeshed with somebody, right? And, like, one of the things that my husband said to me in marriage counseling, and, like, it, like, hit me, was, like, I want to miss you so that when I see you again, I'm excited to see you. And, you know, I was like, wow, that's really true, you know? Like, we're seeing so much of each other that it's almost kind of like, okay, we're not appreciating that time that we have together. And today, I really, really appreciate the time that I have with my husband. Just like I really appreciate the time that I spend with my best friend or my sponsor or with family, you know? And so I've had to learn, who am I by myself? And like I said, when my friends are going through breakups, I always say to them, take 6 months or a year off to yourself to get to know who you are, right? Before you jump into a relationship again and realize who you are with that person. Figure out who you are by yourself, you know? And that's something that I've had to do as well. And then the next one was, I saw my parent, because I think this, and this is the healing part to that. When you start figuring out who you are, then you are able to set boundaries and limits for other people in your life. And you realize, okay, these are things I'm going to tolerate, these things I'm not going to. And you start having more healthier thinking patterns in your life when you're interacting with people. The next one I really, really liked, okay? And it was, I knew I was healing when I saw my parents as people with their own unresolved trauma. You know, it's really, really easy for me to blame my mother on situations in her past that affected me. It's really easy for me to blame things on my dad or things that, you know, conflict we've had in our life, which we get along great today. But it's so easy to look at our parents and blame them. And I love the movie Postcards from the Edge. And it was actually written by Carrie Fisher. And it was kind of supposed to be like a fictionized telling of her relationship with her mother and Debbie Reynolds. And in it, there's a scene when Meryl Streep, who plays Carrie Fisher, is in a movie as an actress, and Gene Hackman is directing her, and she says something. She's going off about her mom, and Gene Hackman looks at her and he says, "You can blame your mother, and she can blame her mother, and she can blame her mother, but at some point you have to stop blaming and take responsibility for yourself." I was like, that's pretty deep, you know? And when I started realizing that my parents were just doing the best that they could do with what was handed to them in life, you know, when I started seeing them as human beings, not just these people that I idolized and expected to treat me perfectly, and I'm not excusing away horrific, abusive things that have happened in people's past. I'm just saying, and that's not my story, I'm saying that when I started to understand that my mom had her own trauma that led to her, you know, being part of her being an alcoholic, and it exasperated her drinking and things like that, it started making a little bit more sense to me. And one of the things that I want to see if I can find this really quick. One of the things that my sponsor had me do this year, which was really, really, really helpful, hold on a second, let me look it up, is she had me start saying this prayer on a regular basis, and it's the prayer for the sick person. And I love this prayer so much. Hold on a second, let me see if I can pull it up. Oh, hold on a second. That's not it. Where is this? Why can't I find it? Hold on a second, let me look it up. Okay, I would pull it up on the thing. Okay. Okay, we ask God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, this is a sick man. We cannot be helpful to all people, but at least God will show us how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and every one. And what it really has taught me is to see people and meet people where they're at, right? Like, I can blame my mom all I want. I can say, you know what, my mom did this to me and my mom did that to me. But the second that I stopped blaming my mom and started to understand her, you know, it's like, I love the St. Francis prayer too. And you all know I'm not a religious person, okay? But there are prayers that I like just for the wording. And I love the St. Francis prayer. And one of my favorite lines is to be, you know, to understand instead of being understood. And when I stopped needing to be understood by everybody and instead tried to understand where other people were coming from, my life changed and I started to heal, right? Because then I had to take a look at myself and stop blaming the rest of the world around me. Nobody loves a victim, nobody loves a martyr, you know? And least of all, we don't like to, you know, one of the reasons why I think we all take such offense when people call us victims is nobody wants to be a victim. And if you're a victim and people are saying you're victimizing yourself, stop victimizing yourself. Nobody wants to be that, or we wouldn't take such offense to that word. And the healing out of that is, well, how do you heal out of victimization? Well, you start taking responsibility for what you can. Not all of it. You're not responsible for everything that happened in your life, you know? This is kind of like a Peter Christmas video. But you're not. You're not responsible for everything that happened in your life, you know? Neither am I. Neither is my mom. Neither is my dad. Neither is my husband, you know? Some things just happened. Right or wrong, you know, and that's where I love the definition of forgiveness by Oprah, when Oprah says that forgiveness is accepting that what happened in the past happened. Not that what happened was okay. We're not saying that what happened was okay. We're accepting that it happened. Now what are we going to do to it so it doesn't hold us hostage to where we are today? That's the question. That's the action right there. Like, what do I need to do today so I am not held hostage to all this crap that has happened in my life? Because I don't want to. Who wants to? Hell, I'm going to be 50 in June. I don't know how many years I got left on this planet. I don't want to spend it making myself the victim, feeling sorry for myself, blaming other people for my life, and sitting there running in circles wondering, when is my life going to ever get better, you know? Some of that responsibility does weigh on me. I have to do some of the work. Doing the prayer for the sick man has really helped me, because whenever I encounter somebody that I just don't understand their actions, or I don't understand how they've hurt me or whatever, what I realize is they're a sick person too, just like I have been in the past, just like I am sometimes, and maybe their thinking's not right. And as soon as I can start seeing them as a human being, I start healing inside, because then I come from a point of love and compassion, you know? And so that's really an important one to me too. Okay, and I loved that one. The next one is... I knew I was healing when I set boundaries and when people respected them. I knew they were clearing space, and for those who did not. And I knew they were clearing space for those who did. Now, this is interesting, because I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine last night, that, you know, like, when you start healing and changing, people leave your life, okay? There are going to be people that come around you that have been around for 20 years. You know, it's like the Judy Collins song that I love, Both Sides Now. I actually like the Joni Mitchell version of it better that was in Love Actually, because it's a little bit more ghostly, I think. Haunting is the word I was looking for, not ghostly. But, you know, I love the line when they sang, old friends shake their heads and say, old friends shake their heads and say I've changed. And, you know, I think it's interesting, because we do change over time. And there are going to be people around us that, when we're changing and we're healing and we're becoming better versions of ourselves, don't really want that for us. They really don't. If you ask them at their core, some of them, I think, really want us to stay bitter and miserable and negative. And they don't know what to do with that. But here's the great thing about it is, once we start setting limits and boundaries for ourselves, and I have learned this, and I've lost a lot of people in my life, and that's okay. It was hard. It was sad at the time. But the new people that have come in, they come in knowing the new rules that I set for myself. They come in knowing a healthier new version of myself. So, you know what? We don't have to have those conversations that I had with all those other people, because those people that weren't willing to respect my boundaries to begin with, they're not in my life anymore. And that's sad, and I miss a lot of them, right? But the people that have taken their place, they do respect my boundaries. And I would rather have a life where I had people in my life, whether it was 2 or 4, okay, rather than 30, that respected my values, respected my belief systems, and respected who I am as a person and my boundaries, than people in my life that didn't, you know? So I think that's a really important one. And the last one is, I knew I was healing when I was okay with being misunderstood. And I love this one so much, right? Because for so much of my life, I think that I had to explain myself, over-explain myself to people. I needed people to accept me and be okay with me. I don't have that need today, you know? I'm not a person that says, I don't care what other people think about me. There's a lot of people that I do care what they think about me. I care what my husband thinks. I care what my father thinks about me. I care what my stepmother thinks about me. I care what my cousin, my mother-in-law, my other cousins. I care what my family and friends think about me. My best friend, Tanya, I really care what she thinks about me. My sponsor, I care immensely what she thinks, and that I'm on the right track and doing what I need to be doing. Other than that, I don't pay a lot of mind to people. You know, it's like the saying, like, those that matter don't mind and those that mind don't matter. I don't pay a lot of attention to people that judge me just for judging me, you know? And the reality is, I've been that person in my life before. I've judged for just judging reasons, you know? And that's not how I want to be treated in my life, right? So, but the thing is, I don't really care so much about being understood. And the things that are funny to me about that is as I've gotten older, it's like things like the clothes that I wear or the way that I talk. Like for so long, I just wished that my voice sounded different. And I know there are a lot of you out there that will put comments and be like, oh, I love your voice is fine. So thank you for that. And actually YouTube has really helped me get over that, because back in the day, I would get comments on my videos and people would say, oh, your voice causes my ears to have cancer, which is such a harsh statement, right? And people would say, why do you sound like a 16-year-old girl? I don't know. I just do. You know, it's the language that I use and it's how I talk and it's the people that I've been around. And it just is it is what it is. I'm not going to go to a voice coach and change my voice. And today I love my voice because it's part of who I am. But for a long time, I didn't. For a long time, I used to work in a treatment facility, and when I worked there, my voicemail was interesting because people would call and they'd say, I didn't even recognize your voice on your voicemail, because what I would do is my voice was like, hi, this is Peter. It was like 2 octaves lower, right? So when I would answer my phone, I'd say, hey, this is Peter. They didn't know. But that's what my voicemail was for I mean, it's ridiculous, you know? I don't care today. You know, if you don't like my voice, that's your issue. That's not mine. I can't change that. And I think that that's the freedom that has come also on YouTube, is that what I've realized is that there are going to be people out there that don't like you. And that is fine, okay? It doesn't mean that I'm not going to address it from time to time. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to put somebody in their place if I think that it needs to be said. But there are going to be people out there that don't like us. There's people out there that I don't really care for, to be honest. You know, there's people that I wouldn't waste my time going out to dinner with. I just don't care to, you know. I'd rather sit at home and, I don't know, binge watch Tiger King 2. And that's just my truth, you know. That's not me being mean. That's not me being cruel. That's just me saying there are people out there in the world that I don't really appreciate the way that they choose to live their lives. You know, I don't really want to spend time around people that are super negative and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure there's a lot of you that are out there too. And I feel like that's emotional growth. Back in the day, I'd allow myself to be in that situation for 3 hours and then complain about it for 6. I don't want to be that anymore. It's a lot easier for me to say, thank you for the invitation, I'm going to pass. Wow, that was 3 seconds versus 9 hours. You know what I mean? Like, why would I waste my time doing things I don't want to do today? And I don't get overly concerned with people that don't like me today. It just is part of life. I've just realized that, you know? And the thing is that there's always been people in my life, from being bullied when I was growing up to, you know, there's always been people in my life that haven't liked me. But it took me getting on YouTube to realize that that was okay. You know what I mean? And I'm not even going to say that it's like trolls and people that hide behind keyboard warriors. I mean, there's that too, right? But there's people in my real life that probably, you know, like, oh God, you know, like they think, oh, he thinks this or he thinks that or whatever. And that's okay. You know, I mean, it's okay that people don't like us. But while we're thinking about the people that don't like us, let's also focus on the people that do like us, you know? I love the hell out of you guys that watch this channel. I appreciate you guys so much. You have no idea. I love this channel that I can come over here and just talk about. I can talk about a meme if I want to, and there's some of you out there that you like it. And there's some of you that'll be like, this is not the video for me, I'm going to pass. But when you're back doing TikTok stuff, hey, I'll be around. Or when you're back in a store, I'll be around. And that's fine. I totally get that, you know? And that's the wonderful thing that I've learned, you know, in the last year or two is I don't have to make everybody happy. I have to make me happy, you know? But as long as I'm doing good and I'm trying to be a positive contribution to the world, like my dad says, and when I do make mistakes and I fall short of that, I think it through, then I've got a chance, you know? I've got a chance, because I got tomorrow, if I wake up tomorrow, to be a better version of myself than I am today. And this little thing right here, which was so silly that I got off of Instagram, really, I looked at it and I was like, I guess I am healing, you know, because I relate to these things. So anyway, that was all I wanted to share with you guys, and I hope that you guys are having a really magically amazing Christmas, and I love you guys, and I'll see you probably in a few days. Bye.